At Pain Free for Life, it is our mission to help the 1.5 billion people suffering from chronic pain all around the world to find resolution through implementation of the Hashe Protocol. The Hashe Protocol is a system incorporating 5 interactive elements of health: stress reduction, fitness, nutrition, sleep, and microcurrent therapy. These elements flow amongst themselves, overlapping as we go, and we find it impossible to look at one without the others. Today, however, we're going to attempt to do just that. We're going to take a look at stress and the role it plays in fueling our chronic pain and chronic disease. More importantly, we're going to go through things that you can do to reduce that stress and get yourself back on track. I'll start with a basic question. You guys can let me know in the comments what you think of this. Do you feel stressed occasionally, not at all, or all the time? It's really interesting for me to gather people's perception of stress before we go on. So leave it in the comments, and I'll hit you back up after I've seen your comment there. Now, a common misconception that we see is I'm not stressed. Whether you're feeling stressed or not, if you are sick or in pain, you are stressed, period. Under whatever mask of normality you are wearing, your body is tired and it is stressed. But why is this? It's all about parasympathetic and sympathetic states. So we're going to talk about these briefly. Sympathetic states. Well, let's say we are hiking in the woods, enjoying ourselves all alone, taking in the beauty of nature and the sun, when we turn a corner and find ourselves only feet away from a full-grown bear, which is a very realistic possibility where we live here. You see bears more often than not. Now, in a fraction of a second, your brain recognizes the animal in front of us as a bear and classifies it as a very big threat. Immediately, the sympathetic nervous system is activated, and without any conscious control at all, and that part's super important, several body functions are affected all at once. Our heart rate increases. Now, an increased heart rate results in an increase in oxygen and nutrients that reach the brain and muscles, preparing us to deal with whatever the heck we have to face, in this case, a big bear. The liver is stimulated to release glucose into the bloodstream, providing us with more energy that's going to be ready to power the muscles in case it's needed, which it likely is going to be needed so that we can run away. The bronchioles in the lungs are dilated to allow more air into the lungs, which will increase oxygenation of the blood and keep up with the increased blood flow through the lungs due to the increased heart rate. Our pupils become dilated because the sympathetic nervous system is often activated when people are surprised. Pupil dilation is a visual cue that we can use to read surprise and shock on people's faces. The adrenal glands, these are really important as well, are stimulated to secrete epinephrine and norepinephrine. The adrenal glands are a pair of hormone-producing glands that sit like little hats on the top of our kidneys. Together, the epinephrine and norepinephrine secreted by the adrenal glands have the same basic effects as the nerves of the sympathetic nervous system. They increase the heart rate, they do all the things we just went through. Now, in addition, norepinephrine is also known to increase alertness. Now, it may seem redundant that these hormones have the same actions as the sympathetic neurons, but hormones have longer lasting effects than nerve impulses. So while the initial fight or flight response is mediated by our neurons, these hormones will serve to reinforce and help to sustain the response. Now, digestive activity is also inhibited. Now, in the moment of truth, a person may need every last ounce of energy that they can muster. If we can make it through this ordeal, then we can digest our breakfast or our lunch later on. The bladder is relaxed. Now, after all, this is not the time for a person to relieve themselves. There are more pressing matters at hand than needing to pee. This goes against our general belief system as well. Many people believe that we wet ourselves when we get scared, but it turns out that the sympathetic nervous system is only activated in situations where the brain decides that there is a reasonable chance of survival. In very extreme cases of danger, where the chances of survival seem remote, crippling fear often takes over and people can lose bladder and bowel control. They can also go limp and play possum as last-ditch efforts to live. So, in this case, in our general we are facing the bear state, we do not wet ourselves. We actually need to relieve ourselves less. Now, all of these functions, which took me a couple minutes to go over here, they happened in the span of a moment. And when that moment passes, once we have survived our encounter with the bear, we will return to a parasympathetic state. When in a parasympathetic state, we notice that our heart rate and respiration slow, our blood pressure drops, our intestinal activity increases, blood flow increases to the digestive tract, neurotransmitters, which regulate muscle contractions, including our cardiac muscle, are released, and stress hormones decrease. Okay, so we've gotten through the little sciencey bits here, but let's imagine that instead of a bear, what we are faced with is an internal danger, an illness or pain. When we first get injured or find out we are sick, our body begins to fight. It fights like we fight, by entering a sympathetic state, a state of survival. Even if this danger passes momentarily, it can create a situation of stress and fear. When we become so familiar with our illness or pain that we know it will be a part of our lives each day, we create a stressful situation in which we fuel the sympathetic and actually stop ourselves ever returning to the parasympathetic. Now, this is where we need to focus our attention here, and this is why the first element of the Hashe Protocol is stress reduction. If you can't control your stress, then you become jammed in a sympathetic state, a state that was never meant to be anything more than a short-term response to a threat. Living in this state will further drain the body of energy and make it extremely challenging to heal. It's even apparent here just how intertwined our 5 elements are. With the limited blood flow to our digestive system, our digestion suffers. We'll start to suffer from weaker adrenals, lowering our body energy and limiting our ability to work out. And our sleep will suffer as we become wired into the now, just trying to survive. However, all is not lost. It is possible to unjam your nervous system and force your body back into a parasympathetic state. And this brings us to the 5th element and the secret sauce of the Hashe Protocol, microcurrent therapy. Now, before we get to the nitty-gritty of microcurrent and how it can help you, I'd like to preface that there are plenty of ways to get stress relief without using microcurrent. You probably are familiar with some of them already. And in fact, our free guidebook, All Immune Solutions, which many of you may have already downloaded, has some pages dedicated to things that do just that. You can download it from the link in the description. And if you want a copy, you can just ask for one in the comments and we will drop you the download link there after we're done. Now, most of you here will already be familiar with microcurrent. That's what we're all about. So you're probably here trying to learn more about it. But for those of you who aren't, if this is your first introduction to microcurrent, here's what you need to know. Microcurrent is a revolutionary technology that helps to balance and restore the body's electrical system by delivering electrical impulses directly through the body. And even though microcurrent was invented a long, long time ago, it is only really now catching the attention of the public. It's a form of electrotherapy. And when you put it in contrast with other types of electrotherapy that are more commonly known, such as a TENS device, which uses extremely powerful electrical impulses to paralyze the nerves within the body, you have to look at that in contrast next to a microcurrent device, which uses these same types of electrical frequencies already found in the body in a natural state. These are extremely low frequencies, often between 0.5 and 2500 hertz on the high end of the scale. And we can use these frequencies to re-energize our cells and to give the body commands. One such command is the ability to input a gentle current that follows the alpha brain state, a state that we can only achieve in parasympathetic mode. And I think you can see where I'm going with this. These frequencies can be delivered harmlessly through simple-to-use devices, either directly through the vagus nerve or even through the earlobes. Now, these treatments will trigger relaxation, reduced feelings of stress, slower heart rate, and even settle stomach upset, including chronic stomach upset like Crohn's disease and IBS. Now, that one used to be huge for me, stress-induced stomach upset. But it's really, really easy to get on top of it by stimulating and providing yourself with those alpha waves. The reduction of stress in this way will drastically impact your pain levels and even the flare-ups of chronic disease. And this is just a little bit of what microcurrent can do. If you want to learn more about our microcurrent technology, you can visit our website, www.painfreeforlife.com. There's lots of pages, lots of blogs, lots of information on there for you to check out, as well as some free reports that will teach you all about it. And of course, if you're looking for assistance or guidance, just post a comment in the comment section below, and we will be happy to assist you. Now, I hope you find this video helpful, and we'll see you in the next episode. This one will be on nutrition. Thanks, everyone.